Shabbat Shalom. Have you noticed that more and more TV shows are playing out storylines that are just our actual lives? Grey's Anatomy told the story of the pandemic through a lens that only Shonda Rhimes can capture. This Is Us characters are all masked up and testing. And we've recently... Hello. Test. I think you might have unplugged something. This is not God. I just want to be really clear. This is not on. Okay. There we go. Okay. Maybe it is. It's very spiritual. So in my house, we have started watching a newer show called The Morning Show, and they are really in the trenches with our reality, covering Me Too issues and the tragic Las Vegas shooting. And now we're watching the episodes that take place in the first few months of the year 2020. And you don't have to worry, there are no spoilers. I cannot ruin this show for you because we have already lived all of those days. We were there and we know what happens. We are their future. And we kind of hate watching these shows, but with a glass of wine in one hand and our endless salty sweet snack cycle in the other, we're watching our recent history unfold. The characters are all like, it sounds like it's just the flu. And then they decide that it's not newsworthy enough for a segment on their show in January 2020. And suddenly, we are like gods. We know the future. We could go and tell them and warn them. We are Marty McFly back from the future, and we've got some news. Besides the fact that this is not relaxing, gentle nighttime entertainment, it is disconcerting to know what's coming. Disconcerting and so very tempting. This week in Parshat Vay'chi, the last Torah portion of the book of Genesis, or Bereshit, we bump up against our deep desire to know the future, to know how it all pans out. Jacob, our forefather, is on his deathbed. He's come to the end of his life and he's surrounded by his 12 sons. No doubt, he wants to pass on to them something helpful, something that could protect them into the future. So he goes for it. He says straight out, Hey asfu v'agira lachem, et asher yikra etchem ba'acharit hayamim. Come here, and I will tell you what is going to happen in the end of days. He's going to do it. He's going to do what we want to do during our late night binge watching. He is going to reveal the end of the story. Some commentators think that what he means by the end of days is the end of the time of their period in exile. Way back in Genesis, God tells Abraham that his children will be exiled for 400 years, and that eventually they will come home. So maybe Jacob is about to tell them that they will sink into slavery soon, but there's a guy coming named Moses, and watch out for locusts, but paint your doorway and you will go home and be free. And some commentators say, no, actually, what he wants to tell them is about the real end of days, how redemption will come, how peace will be made. What is the last page of the book of this world, of this existence? And I'll tell you, I want to know all that stuff. I want to know how much longer I've got with my parents. I want to know if my kid will grow up and end up being happy. I want to know if we end poverty. I want to know who is elected in 2024. I want to know what Omicron has planned for us. We're watching the numbers rise again. Schools are closing. We don't even know how worried we should be. And that unknown that we're gazing into, it can feel like an abyss of anxiety. It is so human to want to know how this all turns out. Because at the very least, maybe then we could plan for it. If we know that one day we'll find the love of our lives, maybe we can enjoy dating instead of being so very neurotic about it. If we know when we will die, maybe we'll make different choices about how we live. If we know floods are coming, maybe we could move inland. And maybe we don't just want to plan for the inevitable. Maybe we think that if we know how the story ends, we could try to trick fate and thwart it. So let's get back to Jacob's final words to his sons. Come and let me tell you what happens in the end of days. They all lean in, ready to hear him reveal their future. And then he doesn't. He goes on to tell them about themselves, who they have been and how he feels about them. Some of it good, some considerably less than good, but no big reveal. Rashi, among others, teaches that he wanted to reveal their future to them, but just as he was about to, the Spirit of God fled from him, and he wasn't able to get the words out. This moment tells us a lot about who we are as a people. Traditionally, we don't actually even subscribe to the idea that there is an already written future that we could find out or which could be revealed to us as a fait accompli. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs taught that this is a major difference between ancient Israel and ancient Greece. The Greeks believed in fate, a future that one could not get away from no matter how hard one tried. Ancient Israel had no such master. He wrote, "We do not believe in fate as something inevitable and inexorable. We are free. We can choose." Which is to say, the future is unwritten, and we are writing it. Consider the whole theology around Yom Kippur, doing tshuva, making things right. We believe that we can change our own lives through the choices that we make. We believe that we can change the whole world through our actions. We certainly don't have control over everything. That much is clear. But we do see our actions and our inaction as having an impact, writing the story and shaping the future. Perhaps now more than ever, we don't want to give that piece of ourselves away in exchange for knowing some already written version of how things will shake out. Maybe that's less satisfying than if Jacob had just been able to spit it out and give us the hint we need to know that everything is going to be okay in the end. But while he doesn't tell us that, he does tell us something. The first words that he utters after teeing up his sons with excitement are, "Hikavtzu v'shim'u." Gather up and listen. He may not be able to tell them the what of the future, but perhaps he has made clear the how. How do we go forward into the unknown? Hikavtzu. We gather up. We get our people close. We find more people and we bring them close too. All kinds of people. We turn each other into family, distant cousins, friends, partners in this moment. And we shim'u. We listen. We listen to one another. We listen to the facts as much as we can. We listen to each other's stories and experiences. We listen to our own guts and what they're telling us. We don't need to discover our fate and then find a way to go back and warn past us. We only need to grab each other's hands and define future us, future truth, future what is possible. to listen and to understand and to gather up and to believe that the power of our actions is not only history making, but future shaping. We don't know what Omicron has in store for us, but we know we've got each other. And we know that our choices now can make a difference in whatever's coming down the road. This Shabbat, we end the book of Genesis. As we always do, after we read the last words, we say, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazak. May we be strong, each of us, strong of body, strong of spirit, and may we meet Chazak, strengthen one another. Shabbat Shalom.